Step by step from scratch, we are going to create a stock management in Excel to track all the inflows and outflows that we have for any different product. So let me show you here a demonstration. Current stock is the first sheet that I have. So I can go here to any blank cell and register a new product, such as mango cake. Enter. Automatically Excel is going to retrieve the quantity of inflows, the quantity of outflows, and also the balance to this new product. Simple as that. This is how you can register new products. Now let me show you how can you register a purchase or a sale. We can use the second sheet, purchases and sales. I can register here a date, such as January 1st of 2026, enter. Let's say the type of the movement is going to be a inflow, that is a purchase, of the product mango cake, that is the new product that I added. The quantity is going to be 20, enter, and the unit price is going to be $7, enter. Simple as that. Now if I go back to my first sheet, as we can notice, mango cake has 20 units within inflows column, and the balance is also 20. And if I go back to the inflows and outflows and register here now a outflow or a sale of this product, let's say mango cake, of 12 units for $15. And I want to add here a new row with a new outflow to the same item, mango cake. Let's register here 5 more sales. 15 again. Okay, that's it. So we have 20 as inflow and 12 plus 5 as outflow. And if I go back to the current stock, we can see that Excel properly calculates inflows, outflows, and balance quantity. So this is how our template is going to work. Let's get started with the header of our first sheet. I want to click on the number 1 to select the entire row, and in the home tab I can change the fill color to a blue one, let's say. However, you can use the color that you like the most. Now on cell A1 I can give it a name such as current stock, enter. Now I want to click again on cell A1 and I want to change the font color to a white one, put it in bold, and also increase the font size to make it easier to see. Now we can go to the second row and also change the color to create a contrast, let's say. And if you like, you can click in between row 2 and 3, hold and drag up, because the way you can change the width of this row. Now we can move on to the rows underneath, such as the row number 4, and we can create the table that is going to be responsible to track our inventory, all the inflows and outflows. However, to be able to create this automation, let's say, we need to first list all the items that we have on our stock. So let me click on cell A4 and I want to give it a name such as product name, enter. And in between column A and B, I can click, hold and drag to the right, because that way I can increase the width. Now underneath the product name, I can input and add all the items that I have, such as item A, item B, item C, and so on. Of course, you can have different items with different names, but it doesn't matter because you can use the name that you want to use, okay? This list right here is also going to be used as a drop-down list to the other portion of to the another sheet that we're going to have, okay? Now in the next column, I can have a column that is going to be responsible to return the quantity of inflows. And also in the next column, we can have the outflows, inflows and outflows. And then, of course, we have the balance of all those items. To make it all those 3 columns with a even width, I can select all those 3. So B, C, and D. And in between one column and another, I can click, hold, and drag to the right, because the way all those columns are going to be evenly with the same height, width, let's say. Now I can select this entire table that I created, of course with the headers, and I can go here to Home tab and align all the informations in the middle and in the center, just to make it easier to see. Now I can go into the Insert tab, and then I can create a table. A table has a lot of benefits, and I'm going to show you some of those benefits and why I like to use a table in Excel instead of just a data set. Let me enable, of course, my table has headers, okay? And that's it. The first benefit that a table has is you can go here under the table design and find many different table styles, such as, let's say, let's stick with this blue table style media 9. I think it's very good. Every time you input a new item, such as laptop, enter, a new row is going to be added into the table. And when in the future, because we're going to have some formulas in inflows and also in the column of the outflows, those formulas are going to be automatically bring down with the new added item that we have, okay? So this is two of incredible benefits that a table have. Now let's add here a new sheet to create and to register all the inflows and outflows, the purchases and the sales. So I want to click in this plus sign to add a new sheet, and then right click in this new sheet, and I can go to rename. Within this sheet, I can give it a different name, such as inflows and outflows. This new sheet here is going to be responsible to register all the purchases and the sales that we made. Now let me click on again the first row, and I can change the color. Maybe I can fill with a green color, and I can click on cell A1 and give it a name such as purchases and sales. Enter. Click on the first cell again. I can increase the font size, maybe 24, and change the color to white. In the second row, in the row underneath, I can also change the color maybe to a yellow one again. And let me compare with the previous sheet. Yeah, I think it's very good. Now what we can do here to make sure we can create a template that is going to connect with our first template, we can have some informations, some columns, some details, which are the date of the transaction. We can also have the type, that is can be in or out, or of course inflow, outflow, purchase, sales, and so forth. Things on those lines, okay? But let me remove the second option here, and underneath the type cell, I want to click on this cell and I want to create a drop-down list, because that way it's easier to select in or out options. I can select either of those options, right? So let me go to data, and all the way to the right, I can click on data validation again. And instead of use allow any value, I actually want to allow a list. And my list is going to be, let me click within this formula bar, okay, in the formula bar, and I'm going to have only two options that is going to be responsible to tell me what is the movement that is happening, if it's a inflow or a outflow. Maybe the first option can be inflow. So inflow, comma is responsible to separate the options. And I also going to have outflow, inflow, outflow. Okay, that's it. Now I can select either inflow or outflow. Let me increase the width of column B and also the width of column A. And let's say date, January 1st of 2026. I have a inflow, and again, I want to make some changes in the type. Every time I have an inflow, I want to have a green color highlighting the cell. So I can go to Home tab, all the way to the right, Conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and then equal to. Every time the cell is equal to inflow, okay, you can write down the name within the formula bar. I want to highlight automatically with a green fill, okay? And if I have a outflow, I want to Home tab, Conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, equal to, I want to highlight, fill the cell with a red color, okay? And yeah, that's it, we're done. So I can have both of those options, inflow or outflow. Another very important information that is needed is the product name, because of course Excel is going to match the product name that you added here with the product name that we have here. And to make sure we don't have an error, we can use those names as a list. However, if we select this specific range, let's say tomorrow, next week, we're going to have a larger list. I also want the larger list, the new updated list, to be part of my drop-down list. Those new items needs to also appear in my list. So how can I do it automatically? Because I cannot select this range right here, and then tomorrow again I need to select a larger range to take all those new items. I cannot do it because it's going to take a long time. So a very simple solution is to use the indirect function. However, before we use the indirect function, first I want to take the reference of those items. I will not select the header, but I will use the equal sign in any cell, okay? In any cell, click and then equal sign. You need to select all the items that you have. You don't need to select the header, okay? Please do not select the header, because that way Excel is going to give you the name of the table, and in between those square brackets, it's going to give you the name of the column. And that's it. Now what I'm going to do is I need to select this entire reference. I don't need to select the equal sign. The equal sign is not important. And I want to copy this information, use the Ctrl+C. Okay, Ctrl+C. That's it. Now let me press ESC to escape, to go out of the cell, okay? Now let me move again to the second sheet that we have. And of course, here in this specific cell, I want to create the drop-down list. And because of that, I can go to data and all the way to the right, data validation again. And instead of allow any value again, we're going to use a list. However, this time, instead of manually input all the items that we have, it's very important to use the reference that we copied before. But how can we do it? I can use equals sign, and I want to type here indirect. That is the name of a formula in Excel. And then open parentheses, open quotations, right click, paste, close quotations, close parentheses. Basically what we are doing here is we are creating a function called indirect to return all the items that we have in the list. And if we have more items, new items, those new items are going to also be automatically included on our list. So let me click here, okay? Yeah, that's it. Now, whenever you click on this cell, you can see this down arrow, and if you click, you can see all the items that you have. We have item A, B, C, and laptop. However, if I add here a new item, such as new item, enter, and if you go back to inflows and outflows sheet, you can see this new item is going to pop up in the list automatically. Let me increase the width of this column, and let me select here item B, just because I want to use item B, okay? And I want to use a inflow first. I want to register a inflow. January 1st of 2026, inflow, item B. Now, what is very important is the quantity. What is the quantity? Let's say 15 units. And of course, I can also have here the price. Maybe the unit price. And Excel can give me the total price. Enter. Let me increase both of those columns. And also column D. Unit price is going to be 9.99. So the total price is going to be a formula that is equal sign unit price times asterisk quantity. Enter. That's it. Simple as that. Now I can select this entire table that we create, and then we can go to Home tab, align everything in the center and in the middle. And also we can insert a table in Excel for the same reasons that I explained before. A table has many benefits, such as whenever we add a new row, this new row is going to retrieve the type with the data validation, is going to retrieve the product name again with the data validation, and of course the total price with the formula that we create. So table, yes, my table has headers, okay, simple as that, we're done. And I can also use a different color here, maybe yellow. And let me select the headers because I don't want to use yellow with white. I don't think it's match. So let me go to Home tab, and then I want to change the font color to maybe automatic. Yeah, that's it. I want to also increase the width of those last three columns. Yeah, we're done. And I can also select again unit price and total price at once. And within the Home tab, I can change the number format to a dollar one. That's it. Now, whenever we add here a new date, such as January 2nd of 2026, enter, the type is already showing me the list, so I can register a outflow, let's say of item B, 4 units, and the unit price is going to be $12. Enter, and okay, that's it. Now, how can I use this table right here and connect with the previous table that we have to be able to retrieve inflows, outflows, and of course the balance? And by the way, let me change the name of this sheet 1 to right-click, rename, current stock, enter. Of course, you can also use inventory instead of stock. However, in this case right here, in this scenario, this is my stock, it's not my inventory, because stock is the items that you use to sell. They are ready to sell. So that's the only difference, right? But anyway, balance is very simple to do. Equal sign, inflow minus outflow. Enter. We're done. Okay. My version of Excel is very clever. So whenever I use a formula within a table, it's going to automatically copy down to all the rows that I have. However, if your Excel doesn't do that for you, you can go to the first cell. In the bottom right corner, you can click, hold, and drag it down. Simple as that. Now to return the inflows of item A, and then item B, and then item C, and so on, we can use a formula in Excel to match the first criterion, that is going to be inflow, that is the type, and the second criterion is going to be the product name. The formula that can help us is going to be the sum sumifs formula or function, because a sum function can adapt values and we can adapt the quantity. However, if we adapt the values, the quantity, we're going to adapt everything that we have. But I don't want to adapt everything. I want to adapt if the value matches with a certain criteria. And my criteria here is going to be the type and the product name. So let's go and use equals sign in cell B5, because this is the cell immediately underneath inflows and immediately to the right of the first item. Okay, so inflows, equal sign, and then sumifs function. It's very important to use the second one with the s in the suffix, because this one allow us to use many different criteria. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even only one. But anyway, sumifs. Double click, 1, 2. Sum range is going to be the range that I want to adapt. And it's very easy because the range that I want to adapt is here. Inflows and outflows, column of the quantity. So I can select the quantity column. And as we can notice, Excel is very clever. And again, it's going to reference the name of the table and the name of the column. Perfect. It's exactly what I need. Comma to move on to the second criteria or to the second argument of the formula. Let me, by the way, click in this little tag and move it at the top. Criteria range number 1, or first criteria range. It can be the type. So let me select the types that I have, comma, and I only want to consider the type inflow. Let's start with the inflow. So open quotations, inflow, close quotations, comma. You can check what I'm doing throughout this formula bar right here. Second criteria range is going to be the product name. So I can select the names, comma. Now what is going to be my criteria? First, I want to start with the item A, and then item B, item C, and so on. So I can move back to the first sheet and select the item that I have to the left. We're done. Let me press enter or hit enter. And as we can notice, Excel is going to automatically bring the formula down. However, you can, at the bottom right corner of the cell, click, hold, and drag down, because that way you can copy the formula to all the rows that you have. Now we have already the formula working automatically. And as we can notice, I have item B, inflows, equals to 15 units. Let me go back to inflows and outflows and see if it's correct. Yeah, it's perfect. Item B, 15. And what is going to happen if on a new row, such as, let's say, February 1st of 2026, enter, I have a new inflow of item B. Are my table going to automatically update? I don't know. Let's check here. 10 units, price $11. Yeah, that's it. Now we have two inflows for item B. The first one is 15, the second one is 10. 15 plus 10 is equal to 25. Let me go back to the first table and check if this is the result. Yeah, indeed, Excel is very intelligent and 25 is correct. So the formula that we did is working properly. However, how can I do now the outflows? It's very easy, because we can basically copy and paste the formula that we use to inflows to the outflows. The only change that we need to do is, instead of use in between quotations, inflow, we're going to use outflow. Let me click in the first cell, okay? Click in the first cell, and I can select everything that I have, and also the equal sign, okay? I can select everything, actually. And then I can copy, Control C, okay? And then I can use ESC to escape. Yeah, that's it. Now let me move one cell to the right, outflows. And then in this cell, double click, 1, 2, I can paste. How can I paste something? Use Ctrl V, okay? Ctrl V. If you hit enter, you're going to have the same result as before. However, the only small change that we're going to do is, in this first cell, I can again double click, 1, 2. Instead of use inflow, I'm going to use outflow. Be mindful because we need to use quotations. So enter, and yeah, that's it. Look, 25, 4, so the balance is 21. And if I use a new item, let's say, now I want to register in January 1st again of 26, a inflow of item A, 1 unity, and I bought this product for $100. And in January 2nd, I sold, so outflow, the item A, 1 unity for $200. Of course, we can organize the dates. So I can click in the filter button right here at the top, and I can go to sort oldest to newest. Simple as that. Now if I go back to current stock sheet, I can see inflow and outflow is going to automatically be calculated, and also the balance. Simple as that. So we're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to create a very simple but very handy template in Excel to help you out control, manage, track all the stock that you have and all the inflows and outflows too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to other videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you in the next one.